Okay, Hagotavach. I hope everyone had a beautiful and restful Shabbos for the parts of the day that were warm. I hope you were sitting outside. Tonight we're going to be learning the second half of Daf Ayin. We'll be learning Ayin Amud Beis and as well Ayin Aleph. We have to just, as a preface for tonight, we just have to hold cup in one phrase, which is, I should say one phrase that can be read in one of two ways, which is Zadon Shabbos v'Shigagas Malachos, and Shigagas Shabbos and Zadon Malachos. It's very easy to be confused by them. And just to speak it out clearly for a moment, because I will reference it quickly as we learn it through tonight. When a person is chayiv to bring a korban by its nature, it means that you did not do so on purpose. So when a person is fully aware that it's Shabbos, Zadon Shabbos, and Shigagas Malachos, but he kind of sort of forgot about a lot of the Malachos, that's when he's chayiv many korbanos, because the Shigaga, the Shogeg, was on the Malachos. So if you do 5 Malachos, you're shaykh on it's shaykh that you would get 5 korbanos. The reverse is Shigagas Shabbos and Zadon Malachos. If the Shigaga, because there's no Zadon Malachos, there's no korbanos on the Malachos, but if the Shigaga led you to do many malachos, so then you would be chayiv only one korban because your shogeg was on that one entity. So really, when we see this phrase, I know it's just a little murky. Every time I say it in my own head, I have to spend another couple of seconds clarifying. But wherever the word shogeg is, that's where we can assume the number of korbanos. So if the shogeg is by Shabbos, when it says shigigas Shabbos, so that's one shogeg. That's your one mistake, and therefore it's shaykh that you would bring only one korban. But where the phrase shigigas malachos applies, so there we would say that one is obligated to bring many korbanos, just relative to the number of averas that a person did. So this is going to come up 5 or 6 times tonight. So just wanted to give that as Rosh Prakim. So let's jump right in. We're on the bottom of Daf Ayin Amud Aleph, about 5 lines from the bottom. Maybe I drop more. It says v'tepokle. Now, if you'll recall, on the top of this Amud, we learned on Thursday night, we learned the Shita of Shmuel about chiluk malachos. Chiluk malachos is the idea that if one does more than one malacha in general, then they're obligated to get more than one consequence, that they're obligated to bring 2 korbanos chatas. But Shmuel's Mari Makom for this was very strange, in that he learned it out from the pasuk that says mechalaleha mos yumas. Now, mechalaleha mos yumas is a pasuk that refers to someone who does so b'mezid, that does an avera on purpose. There is no korban chatas by someone who does an avera on purpose. So the Gemara questioned why Shmuel did this, and he answered that really the words of mechalaleha mos yumas are unnecessary, because we learned from a different pasuk already that you're chayiv misa. So therefore, me'eno inyan le'inyan mezid, if the extra words by mezid are not being used for a drasha, tenehu le'inyan shogeg. So just a model that exists throughout Shas, that where a drasha is not explicitly needed in one place, we can carry it over to another connected place. So the Gemara is again going to ask against Shmuel, but why use that? Why use that Mari Makom? Why use that complex Mari Makom to learn out chiluk malachos when there is a better one? What is that better one? Says the Gemara 6-7 lines from the bottom on Ayin Amud Aleph. The tepokle the chiluk malachos mehecha denafkale Rabbi Yosi. Maybe you shouldn't learn out mechalaleha mos yumas as your source for chiluk malachos, but rather you should learn like Rabbi Yosi. What does Rabbi Yosi say? Very unique drasha. The Tanya Rabbi Yosi Omer va'aseh me'achas mehena, and you should do from one from these. So the Gemara picks up on this because it's a little bit of a strange language, and let's see how the brisa. This is a brisa. Let's see how the brisa understands this pasuk. The understanding is as follows: Pa'amim, there are times shechayav and achas al kulan, that you're obligated to bring one korban on many. Upe'amim shechayav and al kol achas ve'achas, and sometimes you're obligated on each one. V'amar Rabbi Yosi b'Reb Chanina, my time of Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi b'Reb Chanina is later than Rabbi Yosi the Tana. Rabbi Yosi Reb Chanina is giving pshat and Rabbi Yosi the Tana. So he says, what's the understanding of Rabbi Yosi? It's very simple. Achas me achas, heina me heina. The pasuk didn't need the letter mem in either of those 2 words. The pasuk could have said ve'asa achas heina. You did one of these. Even grammatically, it would have been easier to say me heina. But you could have understood the pasuk in a different way. Either you could have said ve'asa achas heina. You could have done one of these. So he picks up on the fact, Rabbi Yosi, Reb Chanina explains in the name of Rabbi Yosi that there are extra mems. Achas shehi heina, veheina shehi achas. There are things that are one that can be many, and there are many, meaning these, which can be one. And the Gemara is now going to give an example from the world of Kosev. Let's say that we said that the pasuk says ve'asa achas meheina, just in the singular without the mem. You did one of these averas. So if you did one of these averas, when are you done writing? When the word is over. Achas Shimon, the whole name of Shimon. But with the letter mem, we see a little bit of a knech, me'achas, from that one thing, not the whole thing, but just from that one thing. Turning to the top of ayin and beis, me'achas shin mem mishimon, just the first two letters. It doesn't have to be the whole word to violate. So therefore, we can see that the letters mem added in this pasuk to mei achas and mei hena have some applications. But that was only using the word achas. What about the word hena? Well, hena maybe implies the word avos. Mei hena implies even the toldos. So again, Rabbi Yossi is using these extra letters mem to teach us new things. What was the case of achas shehi hena? Achas shehi hena, one which is many, is zadon Shabbos b'shigagas malachos. Remember, the shigagas on the malachos, so there's more of them, more isurim. So that's where you have one which is many. Hena shehi achas shigagas Shabbos b'zadon malachos, where the shigagas on the Shabbos, then there's only one. You did a bunch of averos. Okay, so that's our question against Shmuel. Shmuel, why did you use that more complex Mari Makom of Mechalaleha Mosumas, which really deals with Inyane Mezid? You had a Mari Makom from Rabbi Yossi, as we've seen here over the last many lines, to learn out that you can have Achas Mehena and Hena Me'achas. You can have one that teaches you about many, and many that teaches you about one, namely. We could have learned Chiluk Malachos from Rabbi Yossi. Shmuel, why don't you say that? Answers the Gemara, Ushmuel, Achas Shehi Hena, Hena Shehi Achas, Lo Mashmaleh. He says that's not part of the drasha, that it wasn't implied to him that would be part of the drasha. And therefore, in conclusion, Shmuel sticks to his guns, and he still holds on to the Mari Makom that we learned out Chiluk Malachos, that one, when there is Shigagas Malachos, that when is Shogeg on many Malachos, that his Mari Makom is the pasuk of Mechalaleha Mos Yumas, because those words were not being used for drasha, and therefore they were available for the Shogeg component of Hilchos Shabbos. Ba'amine Rava me Rav Nachman, 5 lines down, ayin beis. Rava asks the following to Rav Nachman: He'elam zeh v'zeh biyado mahu. He'elam, ne'elam. A person had a lapse of memory. So let's say that was true both by Shabbos and by Malachos. So you didn't realize it was Shabbos, and you didn't realize that there were 39 Malachos. You thought it was a Tuesday afternoon, and you're uneducated in Hilchos Shabbos. You had no idea what was going on. So mahu, what's the din? Amar le, hare helam Shabbos biyado ve'eno chayav ala achas. We would look at that and say the guy thought it was Tuesday. He's only going to bring one korban because his headspace was totally off. He had the wrong day in his head. He'd only be chayav one. So says the Gemara back to Rav Nachman. Adarabba, why would you say that? Hare helam malachos biyado v'chayav al kol achas v'achas. We told you in the question that was asked was he had a lapse in memory in 2 areas. He had it by Shabbos and by Malachos. So you argued that it should be Shabbos. Maybe it's a Malachos. Why do you get to say one over the other? You haven't really given us a svara. So the first sheet of Rav Nachman is of the opinion that it is one korban, and we focus on the fact that it's a Shigagas Shabbos. And Rava pushes back on Rav Nachman and says, no, Adarabba, maybe it should be that you're chayav al kol achas ve'achas, which would be the Shigagas Malachos. Says the Gemara, Ella Amar Rav Ashi, we have to talk to the guy. We have to find out what happened. Chazina, let's see. Imishum Shabbos kaparish harehelam Shabbos biyado ve'eno chayav al achas. If had he known, he would have stopped, because if you would have said, Yid, it's Shabbos, what are you doing? And he would have stopped. If that would have been the measure, so then we would say you're right that it's considered Shigagas Shabbos ve'eno chayav al achas. And there's only one korban because the Shigag was on that larger category of Shabbos as a whole. The imishum malacha kaparish, but if he only would have stopped, if you would have said you're violating kotzer, you're violating chosher, you're violating choresh, or you're violating kotzer, if you would have been specific with him about it, and that's when he would have stopped, then you're right. Then the shigag is on the malacha. Then harei la malachos biyado v'chayav al kol achas ve'achas. Amar le Ravina le Rav Ashi, that you can't use that argument. You can't argue that we need to talk to the guy. It doesn't work. Why can't we talk to the guy? Because klum parish mishabbos el mishum malachos. Shabbos is all about the malachos, and klum parish malachos el mishum Shabbos. They're one and the same thing. You're going to have a guy who's going to be machalik and say, I don't want to be machalik Shabbos. So it's Shigagas Shabbos. But when you tell him kotzer, he's going to be. It doesn't make any sense. They're all the same thing. They're 2 sides of the same coin. So the Gemara rejects this outright and answers with 3 words, Ella, Loshna. You're right. It doesn't make a difference. This answer is very complicated because it's not clear what the answer is. Do we say that in our case where there was He'elam, Vizu, that where one had a lapse in memory, both in regards to Shabbos and in regards to Malachos, what does Loshna mean? So the Rishonim here point out that we go back to our first answer. That our first answer is that he's only chayav 1 korban, and we assume that it's Shigagas Shabbos because it is more of a macro approach to Shabbos. And it's very difficult to separate out Shabbos from Malachos when we have a case like this. The Gemara is now going to ask a sophisticated, multi-layered question, and it's going to bring us back to our machlokes that we saw earlier about how we define shogeg. As we saw machlokes between Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Let's see, we're about halfway down on Ayin with base Tanan. The Mishnah writes, Avos malachos arbaim chasar achas. There are 39 malachos. When we analyze this minyan alamali, why is it that we need to have a specific number? Rav Yochanan said, Shimasan kulam behelam echad chayav al kol achas ve'achas. Rav Yochanan said the reason why we have this distinction of number, a particular number, is to remind us that each malacha is chayav al kol achas ve'achas. So now the Gemara says as follows: Iamris, if you want to say bishlama he'elam zeb yado chayav al kol achas ve'achas shapir. If in the previous case that we just asked, this machlokas between Rav Nachman and Rava, do we say that in the case of he'elam zeb, I forgot that it was Shabbos and I forgot that there were malachos. I forgot both of them. So in such a case, if you say that they be chayav al kol achas ve'achas, then that matches up with this Mishnah perfectly, because chiluk malachos, because it's 39 malachos. Why 39? Because you're violating many malachos. Good. Ela amris he'elam Shabbos biyado. This is a girsa change here. Ela amris he'elam zeb biyado eino chayav ela achas. If you want to answer like Rav Nachman did, who said, and as the Gemara concluded, lo shna, that therefore, if you have a he'elam, if you have a memory lapse on both, we default to the more macro, to Shabbos, and say that because you forgot about Shabbos on the whole, you're therefore chayav only one korban. Heichi mishkachas. What case does that happen in? There's only one possibility. The case is bezadon Shabbos b'shigigas malachos. Remember, the shigagas by the malachos. It makes perfect sense that there will be many malachos here. However, that doesn't work according to all shitas. It really depends how you define shogeg. Hanicha, I could understand this approach. Isavarla ki Rabbi Yochanan, like we learned a couple of days ago. What does Rabbi Yochanan hold in regards to the scope, in regards to the definition of what is considered to be shogeg? There we said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the Amar Kevan sheshagag b'kares. If I forgot that there was kares by Shabbos, af al pi shehezid belav, even though I knew I was doing a malacha, there mishkachas la diyada la Shabbos belav. I was violating Shabbos on purpose. But it's still a shogeg because I forgot that there was kares. That makes perfect sense. I mean, that's great. Ela isavar laki Reb Shimon ben Lakish. But if you held like Reb Shimon ben Lakish, who held the Amar ad sheyishgog belavu bekares the yada la Shabbos b'mai. What was the shogeg in our case? We're really asking against the answer to the Gemara, because the Gemara concluded that when you have a lapse in memory, both of Shabbos and of malachos, we said that you're only chayiv in one korban because of that macro level. It must be you forgot all of Shabbos. And I could understand that according to Rabbi Yochanan. That makes perfect sense. But if you hold like Reish Lakish, then what's the shogeg? You need a minimum of yediyas for shogeg. Well, what is that minimum of yediyas? So there answers the Gemara. The answer is the Gemara. What did he know about? He knew about the Yad ala b'tchum. He knew about Tchum Shabbos, V'aliba D'Rakiva. The same answer as we saw a couple of blot ago. What does that mean? It means that he knew about the Isser of Tchum Shabbos, as mentioned then, just very briefly. Now, there's a machlokas in the Rishonim and in the Tanoim about the status of Tchum Shabbos. Rabbi Akiva holds it's an Isser D'Oraisa, but it's not tabulated among all of the Lamites Malachos. So if you knew about that, you could still have, you had a yediyah of an Isser D'Oraisa, but you were still shogeg with all the other Malachos. And that could be the case of shogeg according to Reish Lakish. And then all of this Gemara fits perfectly clearly with the initial conclusion of the Gemara, that when one has ha'alama, when one is ne'alam, they had a lapse in memory, both by malacha and by Shabbos itself, by the malachos, both by Shabbos, and by the malachos. So then we would still have a case where you're only chayav one korban. All the way to the bottom of Ayin Amud Beis, about 5-6 lines from the bottom. Amar Rabba. Let's talk about a practical case scenario of a machal Shabbos. Kotzar v'tachan kegrogris. If a person was kotzer and they were tochen, and in each case they did katsira of a grogeris, or they did tchina of a grogeris. They either harvested or ground up food in the volume of a grogeris. As a general rule, and we will see this throughout the Masechta, the shear of grogeris is the shear to violate Shabbos under many circumstances. If you cut off a tiny piece of a flour that's less than a grogeris, so maybe you're not chayev an onshin, maybe not. Maybe you're only chayiv midorais, you have a lav, but you don't have an onesh. But in order to get everything, to get the whole package of the onesh, you have to do a shear. So this particular person was having a very bad Shabbos. he was katzar v'tachan, he cut and he ground up kegrogris. B'shigigas Shabbos, what was his mindset? His mindset was that he thought it was Sunday. B'zadon malachos, but he knew about kotzer and he knew about tochen. And then later the same day, he does the same thing again, but with a flipped mindset. So the first mindset was Shigigas. The first mindset was Shigigas Shabbos v'zadon malachos. Then v'chazer v'kotzer v'tachan, he went back and he did more kotzer and more tochen kigrogeres, again with the right shear. But here it was the opposite, v'zadon Shabbos v'shigigas malachos. So in the first time he did the Isser, the shogeg was on the Shabbos. He should be chayav one korban. And here, in the second case, because the shagaga was on the malachos, he should be chayav two more korbanos, a total of three. One, because in the first case he was shogeg b'Shabbos, in the second case he was shogeg b'malachos. Now he finished all the malacha. Then noda lo ala ktsira utchina shel shegegas Shabbos v'zadon malachos. Someone then said to him, "Hey, what you did this morning was usher." And in such a case, he was chayav one korban. Rashi critically adds to this Gemara, he was then mafrish a korban chatas, either in mindset or in practice. He moved it over. How can you do that? It's achana. Good shaila. That's a good question. Maybe he only found out on Sunday. We have to find out when he found out. We're not going to discuss that in the Gemara. So anyways, he's right now obligated to bring that one korban. And then v'chazar v'nodalo al ksira v'al. Then they told him about his second case of Isra that he did later that afternoon. And what was that case? That was shel zadon Shabbos v'shigigas malachos, where he was chayav two korbanos. Okay, now what's the din? So he's already separated the one animal. What happens? Turning to the top of Ayin Aleph, Lamed Aleph, says the Gemara, Kitzira goreres kitzira, utchina goreres tchina. No problem. You separated out that one animal already. You were mafresh, as Rashi highlighted. After you found out about the first violation, you separated out one animal for a chatas. Kitzira goreres kitzira. You don't have to do anything for the second set of Isurim. You now know what you did wrong, but the first korban is going to cover all three Isurim. The first korban was under Shigigas Shabbos v'Zadon Malachos. The second korban was under Zadon Shabbos v'Shigigas Malachos. But because you were already mafresh for the first case of Shigigas Shabbos, because your Shigaga there, that it was singular and that it encapsulated the whole Shabbos, that one korban is going to cover the Isurim for the later Isur as well. Utchina goreres tchina, and as well there too, that one korban is going to work. Very good. Why did you only need one korban in the first case? Because you did kotzer and tochen. The answer again is because Shigas Shabbos, your mindset was more macro. It wasn't so micro. Very good. Aval, however, no delo al ktsira shel zadon Shabbos v'shigigas melachos. If they had already told him about the other way, if he told him first about the Shigigas Shabbos, about the malachos that he did in the afternoon, now he's chayav to bring more than one korban, then ktsira goreres ktsira utchina, then that first korban can cover both ktsira and tchina, she'ima, utchina she'kenegda b'mekoma omedes. However, one of the korbanos for tochen is not going to be covered. You have to bring a separate korban for that. That's the shita of Rabbi. Okay, very good. Let's see what Abai says. Abai Omar, tchina nami goreres. Even tchina is going to be included. That last we covered, there were basically four isurim that the person did: kotzer tochen. And in the first case, and the way that Rabbi explains the second case, where he first finds out about shigigas malachos, he finds out about the isur where he was obligated in more korbanos, so he doesn't have to bring any more than that, except for the fact that the last tchina of the second korban was not yet covered. So that's where Abaye argues. Abaye Amar tchina nami goreres, tchina shem tchina achasi. Goreres tchina, comma, shem tchina achasi. It's all the same name, and because it's all the same name, even though it really wasn't under the same ha'elam, it wasn't under the same mindset of Isser, nevertheless Abaye includes this, and this is the machlokets in Abaye and Rava about how far do we allow for gerira to happen? How far do I allow a korban, which really, technically, logically, should only cover a certain area? Nevertheless, we expand it to other areas as well, and Rava limits it in one case, as we'll see why soon. But Abai says there is no limit. We would include it for all of his isurim. The Gemara interjects here to ask a little bit about Rava's shita. Does Rava really hold that you're allowed to expand from from one korban that's shaykh to one avera to another korban that was really distinct in its nature. Let's see if that's true. Itmar, we have a statement from the times of the Amoraim. Ochal shnei zeisei cheleb behelamach echad. A person ate two zeisei cheleb. They ate two kezesim of cheleb that you're not allowed to eat. The first Mishnah increases. You're chayav kares on that. Behelam echad. You ate them at the same time. I should say you should ate them with the same memory lapse. The no dalo al achas mehen, and then he found out about it. And then v'chazar v'achal kezayis b'ha'alamo shel sheni. So he ended up eating 3 times. If you've ever seen a Venn diagram before, a Venn diagram is 2 circles with an overlapping section in the middle that has a funny shape, like an upside down, 2 large circles, but they overlap. So this is kind of like that. One of your achilas was on its own. The second one was kind of connected to the first. The third achila was on its own, but it was kind of connected to the second. But the first and third achilas were not connected to each other. That's how Rashi explains this Gemara here as well, that the first and third achilas were not connected to each other, but the first was connected somewhat to the second in its timing, and the second was connected somewhat in its timing to the third, but not all 3 of them were really behelam echad. They were all a little bit spread out. Amar Rava, what do we do in such a case? So he says, Hevi korban al rishon, heavy korban al rishon v'sheni miskaprin. If you bring a korban on the first achila, then because the first and second were eaten in some way in the same he'elam, so then rishon v'sheni miskaprin shlishi eino miskaper. Then the first 2 achilas of chela, they have kapara, but the third doesn't yet get kapara. You still need a korban for that. Eino miskaper. But hevi korban al hashlishi, what if you brought a korban on the third one? So because the third one was somewhat connected to the second one, they were eaten behe'elam echad, hashlishi, so then shlishi v'sheni miskaprin, the latter 2 get kapara, rishon eni miskaper. What happens if you brought the one in the middle of the Venn diagram, the one that's shaykh to number 1 and number 3, the middle achila of chelev? So hevi korban al ha'emtzai, then iskapru kulan. That is the statement of Rabbi. So what do we see from Rabbi? We see that there isn't really fully greira. That was our question against Rabbi. Does Rabbi really agree that first korban that you bring can expand to other isurim? And we see that Rabbi places limitations on that. If you do korban 1, it only covers achila 1 and 2, but not 3. If you do 3, it only covers achila 2 and 3, but not 1. And if you do it in the middle, then it covers both. So Rabbi places a limitation there. Abaye amar afilu hevi korban al echad menis kapru kulan. So if that's the case, then in fact we say that Rava really has greira? Because it's not so clear that he does from this statement of the Amoraim. Answers the Gemara, a unique answer. Basar deshama me Abaye savra. After he heard Abaye's answer, the one that we just read a line above, that no, Rava, really it expands to everything. We really do hold of greira. Then Savara, then he started to hold like Abaye in that way, and therefore Rava does in fact hold of greira. If that's true, then remember what we learned on the top of the page, that Rava still limited greira to one aspect of the Aveira, which was that when you first learned of the Isser that you did, where there was Shigagas Malachos and you were chayav many korbanos, there we said that one of the Tochein Aveiras that you did isn't covered. So if you hold of greira, Rava, then why didn't you expand it to that? Why doesn't your korban work for that last case of Tochein as well? So there answers the Gemara, because Yachid China Nami Tigrar L'Tchina. So answers the Gemara, Greira Isle. Rava does hold of Greira. However, Greira de Greira Lesle, when it's doubly removed, not just that you did 2 Isurim, but on top of the 2 Isurim, it was split into 2 Isurim. So there he does not hold of that. So that would really be the concluding machlokas between Abaye and Rava, which is that Abaye would say that for all of these korbanos that are somehow connected, he would say that there's greira, that you do 1 korban, it applies for all. Masha'en Kain Rava would say that he holds of greira. You can do it in an immediate way. But when it's twice removed, so then we don't apply greira anymore. We're a little bit before halfway down on Ayin Aleph Amud Aleph, and the Gemara opens with the following. Milsa depshita lehula Abaye veRava, something that was rather obvious to Abaye and Rava, miboya le Reb Zera, was a difficulty for Reb Zera. Debae Reb Zera me Ravasi, ve'amrila bae mine Rav Yirmiyah me Rav Zera. Don't know exactly what the Reb Zera was. Was he the one questioning, or was he the one answering? Either way, here was the case, and a slight variation on what we learned. Katzar v'tachan chati grogres b'shigagas Shabbos v'zadon malachos. A person did kotzer and tochin, but only a chati shir. We've learned before, just now, that a grogris is the shear where you're then chayiv with onshin. However, in this case, you did less. You did a chati shear of kotzer and a chati shear of tochen. And you did so, let me just make sure I'm in the right spot here. B'shigagas Shabbos, the more macro, you forgot it was Shabbos, v'zadon malachos, but you knew about all the malachos. What should be the din here? You should be a chai of one korban. And then, the kotzar v'tacha and chati grogris, then you did the same thing again later that day. You were kotzer, you were tochen, and it was chati grogris, but here flipped. V'zadon Shabbos v'shigagas malachos. And here, you knew in detail that it was Shabbos, you just forgot that there were these malachos. So the Gemara is posing the question, Mahu sheyitztarfu. What is the din? Do we say that the chati grogris of kotzer and the chati grogris of tochen should add to the second set of averos of kotzer and tochen? 2 kotzers and 2 tochens, because each one's chati grogris. So if I do 2 chati grogris of kotzer, but in separate times, 2 chati grogris of kotzer at separate times, do they combine? And the same for tochen as well. So let's see how the Gemara answers this question. The Gemara asks, Mahu sheyitztarfu, answers the Gemara, Amar le, chalukin lechatos, v'lo mitzdarfin. We're not going to combine them. Because there are separate cases of korban chatas when there's shigagas malachos, so because they're separate korbanos, so therefore there is no mitzdarif of the shita. It seems to be that there's a rule that when the korbanos are separate for the maisa, then we don't look at the shear and say that they're combined. A very lamdish topic. Again, if I say that I'm chayav a chatas on half of a shear X, and I'm chayav a chatas on another half of a shear, so do we say that because the korban chatas is separate, that therefore we would expand that distinction in chiyuv and onesh also to the shear that should be given? So that's the question of the Gemara. The Gemara says with clarity, Amar lecha lukan lechatos v'lo mitzdarfen. Because we separate out the isurim by the korban chatas, the onshin I should say by the korban chatas, therefore we're not mitzdaref them to a shear themselves. Asks the Gemara, is that true? Really, is it true that you're allowed to make the link that because the korbanos chatos were separate, therefore lo mitzdarfe, therefore the shiurim, what did those 2 areas of halacha have to do with each other? A korban chatas is a din and onshin, but lemaisa you did the iser b'shir. Practically speaking, you were tochen. The result of your tochen is 1 grogeris of ground food. So who's to say that there is in fact a link between the korban chatas, the onesh, and the metzias? Okay, that's the Gemara's question. Really, is it true? But it's not. After all, we have a Mishnah. And this Mishnah is a Mishnah in Krisus that we learned many, many months ago. And we're going to learn it yet again. Baruch Hashem Chazara. Ochal chelev v'chelev v'helam echad eno chayv ela achas. If you ate chelev twice, v'helam echad, in 1 lapse of memory, you're only chayv 1. However, ochal chelev v'dam v'nosar upigul. You ate many things. V'helam echad chayav al kol achas ve'achas. You're chayav on all of them. Different isurim. You're chayav on all of them. Says the Gemara that in fact zo chomer b'minan harbe miminecha. That's what's more machmir about a variety of different minin. That if you eat a kezayis of each of them, or whatever this was achilas, you eat a kezayis of each of them, you'll be chayav al kol achas ve'achas. However, v'zo chomer b'minechad mimin harbe, there also is a chumrah to one where you do multiple things of the same min, of the same type. What does that mean? Says the Gemara, quoting this Mishnah, v'zo chomer b'minechad mimin harbe, 2/3 of the way down, shim ochal chatzi zayis v'chazer v'ochal chatzi zayis mimin echad chayiv. What do we see? We see that there is tzeiruf in the shear. We see that these 2 chatzi shears of the they're all together now. They're connected. The Mishnah continues, however, mishnei min in putter. But if I eat a chati shir of chelev and a chati shir of nevela, that would not be mitzaref. They would remain separate. And let's analyze this Mishnah. Mimin echad chayiv tzricha lemeimar. Really? Why do you have to teach me such an obvious din? V'amar Reish Lakish, and this din of Reish Lakish we'll be spending some time on. V'amar Reish Lakish, because Mishum bar Reish Lakish Mishum bar Tutni, this was the name of an Amora, and he quoted in his name, Hacha b'mayaskinan kigon she'achlo b'shnei tamchuyin. It's where you ate it from 2 separate dishes, from 2 separate plates. Rabbi Yeshua he, Amar tamchuyin mechalkin. And Rabbi Yeshua was of the opinion that we are mechalek between tamchuyin that we are between two tamchuyin, between two separate dishes, between two separate platters. Mahu detema. I might have thought, why is it that our Mishnah has to say this then explicitly? Mahu detema. Amar Rabbi Yeshua bein lekula bein lechumra. I might have thought that the din of Rabbi Yeshua is bein lekula bein lechumra in both directions, both for chumra and for kula. No, that's bein lechumra bein lekula kamash malan. De lekula lo amar lechumra ka amar. That is correct. So it says the Gemara. What do we see here? V'ahacha de chalukan lechatos v'kamit starfe. Here we see that they get separate ownership, but we see that there's a tseiruf, and you wanted to suggest 5-6 lines ago that was a simple answer to the question. That we're just because the korban chatos was separate, therefore the shear is not mitzdarif. Yet we see in this Mishnah increases the opposite. We see that there is a separation in onish, but we are mitzdarif the shear. So what's the answer? The Gemara says, Amar le mar, the din of Reish Lakish, you put in the wrong place. A Reisha Masnela, when you learn Reish Lakish's din, where he quotes Bar Tutni, the first of the longest lines, when you learn it on the Reishna, so then Vikashila. But Anan, we learned it in a different way. We learned it Aseifa Masnisanla, the Lo Kashila. We learned Ravashi's din separately. How did that work out? We learned Ravashi's din in the following case of that Mishnah. Mishnei Minin Peturin. Remember, as mentioned, that if a person needs a chati shir of cheleb and a chati shir of nevela, there we would say they're not mitzdarif. It says, ask the Gemara, tzricha lemeimar. That's pretty obvious. These are 2 minin. How could you be chayev 2 separate things with 2 chati shirim? They're not the same thing. Omar Reish Lakish. This is where we should apply Reish Lakish, not on the first part of the Mishnah that we were talking about earlier, but rather here. The Omar Reish Lakish Mishum Bar Tutni. In such a case, la'olam min echad. Really, we're talking about min echad. Even when it says shnei minin, it means min echad. My karla shnei minin. Why does that Mishnah increases call it shnei minin? Very simple. She'achlu b'shnei tamchuyin. Rabbi Yeshua he. Because you ate from 2 different pots, from 2 different dishes. Rabbi Yeshua, we follow the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua. Damar tamchuyin mechalken. Well, kamash malan. You might have thought to Amar Rabbi Yeshua bein lekula bein lechumra. Kamash malan to Amar Rabbi Yeshua bein lekula bein lechumra. Because here we see that you're putter in such a case. So we see the din of Rabbi Yeshua is even lekula. And then that answers our question, because we no longer have the question that we started with, that we have separate chataim with no tseiruf, because we don't apply Ravashi to the first part of that Mishnah increases only to the second. And in that case, it was not chayiv. In that case, it was putter. So the whole question falls away. Good. Says the Gemara, mi de seifa min echad ushnei tamchuyin. We just said that when you apply Reish Lakish to the end of this Mishnah, so then what was the case that we said in the name of Bar Tutni? We said the case was mi de seifa min echad ushnei tamchuyin, that really we're talking about the same type of food, but coming from 2 separate dishes. If that's true, turning to the top of Ayin Aleph on the Beis, then Michlal, what does that imply? The Reisha, that the beginning of that Mishnah increases, the Reisha min echad v'tamchui echad. Min echad v'tamchui echad, tzricha lemeimar. That case is so obvious. If it's min echad and tamchui echad, of course it's going to be problematic. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, Hacha b'mayaskinan, Kigon shahaisa lo yadia bein time, v'Rabban Gamliel hi, Damar ein yadia lachatzi shir. The beginning of our Mishnah needed to be taught. And let's just look at Rashi here for a second. Rashi here says, a little bit of a nuanced Rashi, but a worthwhile read. Rashi says, shahaisa lo yadia, he had knowledge, bein shnei chatza'ei shir. He had knowledge in between the 2 halves. It was min echad tamchui echad. You ate everything from 1 plate, and you ate 2 chatzi shiurim. So here we had to teach an important din. What were we teaching? We need to teach that they combine. Why do we need to teach that they combine? The salka daita chamina. You might have thought that if you would have eaten 2 full shiurim, there we are mechalek in the shir. Hachanami lo litzerufe, that you should not combine them, kamash malan. And why do we not, if someone tells you in between 2 chatzi shirs, I eat a chatzi shir of chelev, and you come over to me and say, Phil, you're eating chelev, and I say, thank you very much, and then I just pound the second part of the chelev. So let's take a look at the Gemara now. What is the chiddush of our Gemara that we are mitzdaref those 2 shiurim? The chiddush is that Rav Huna says, Hacha b'mayaskinan, where you did have knowledge, but you might have thought that if they told you about it, you'd be chayiv. It's not true, because we hold like Rabban Gamliel de Amar ein yediyah l'chati shir. We don't treat yediyah, knowledge of your iser, in between the two chatzi shir, the two achilas of chatzi shir of chelev. There is no yediyah. Nothing can change that, and therefore now we understand why the Gemara had to bother to make sure that we know that we are not mitzdaref these two shiurim, even with yediyah. The Gemara says 5 lines down on Ein Aleph Amud Beis Itmar, we have a statement from the Amoraim. Ochal shnei zeisei chelev behelem echad. If a person eats 2 zeisei chelev in one lapse of memory, v'no dalo al harishon, someone told you about the first, and then v'chazar v'no dalo al hasheni. Again, we're missing some details here. In the previous time, we learned this in the previous Gemara. We learned from Rashi that case was clear, that Rashi highlighted that at that point you were mafresh. After the first yediyah, you were mafresh an animal. Here we don't know yet what Rav Yochanan is talking about. We'll see shortly that this is Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish. So again, the case is that you ate 2 zeisei chelev in one achila. You learned about the first and you learned about the second. Rav Yochanan Amar Chayiv Shtayim. You're obligated to bring 2 korbanos. Reish Lakish Amar Eino Chayiv Ela Achas. You're only obligated to bring 1 korban. Rav Yochanan Amar Chayiv Al Chatasa Behevi. Rav Yochanan says, why? Because you did a chatas, you have to be maybe. You did 2 isurim, you have to bring 2 korbanos. Very simple. 2 isurim, 2 korbanos. Reish Lakish Amar Pater. Why does Reish Lakish say you're Pater? Because the pasuk says mechataso v'nislach lo. Once you bring 1 chatas, you're already forgiven. So I don't have to bring for both. They are both the same isur. I brought 1 korban chatas. Shalom Yisrael, leave me be. Karesh Lakish, what do you do with the pasuk of Rav Yochanan Haksiv al Chataso Behevi? He says, Hu la'achar kapara. That's if you already brought the korban, and then someone said you did that iser. Fine, then he's masking to Rav Yochanan. You have to bring 2. But if you find out, Phil, you violated the iser at 10 a.m. and you violated the iser at 11 a.m. and I only took action on my isurim afterwards, then Reish Lakish is going to say you're only chayav to bring 1. So that's how he answers the pasuk of Rav Yochanan, that the pasuk was only talking about lachar kapara. What does Rav Yochanan do with the pasuk of Reish Lakish? Rav Yochanan nami haksiv mechataso v'nislach lo. Rav Yochanan, what do you do with the pasuk of Reish Lakish that seems to imply that once you take care of 1 korban chatas, you're forgiven? Kigon, that pasuk is dealing with a specific case. Kigon she'achal kezayis umechza. You ate a kezayis and a half. Then no dalo. Al kezayis v'chazar v'achal chatzi zayis acher behe'elam shel sheni mahu detema litzarfo kamash malan. Rav Yochanan says that pasuk is coming to teach me about a unique din where you ate 1.5 kezaysim and then you found out about it and then you ate another half shear. Very specific case, but not applicable to our case. So that's how Rav Yochanan gets out from under the pressure of the pasuk that Reish Lakish brought to prove his point. Amar le Ravina le Ravashi. Ravina le Ravashi is very, very troubled by this. Now, just for the history, Ravina and Ravashi were 6th and 7th century Amoras, going back in the Machlokes of Yochanan and Reish Lakish hundreds of years prior. Even then, just think about the history. When we have a shaila that we have to ask, we're a phone call away, we're a Shulchan Aruch away, look it up. We have Rabbi Riviat Svarim behind us. Any shaila you have in Hilchos Shabbos, Kimat below, everything's in there. It takes 1 second to figure this out. So when we don't know something, we're very quick on the answer. Ravina and Ravashi were the ones who organized the Gemara hundreds of years after Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish. They did not have pshat in their machlokes. Take a look at this triple possibility that Ravina poses to Ravashi. Amar le Ravina le Ravashi. I have 3 different possible approaches to this machlokes between Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish. I don't know which one it is. Please help me. Amar le Ravina le Ravashi. What was going on here? The isyadale kodem hafrasha pligi? Are they arguing about that they heard that he violated the isurim? I heard you told me that I violated the isurim, but it was before I was mafresh my korban chatas, before I took Betsy the cow and moved it over and said, you're for a chatas. Is it before that? And if that's the case, ubahai pligi, here's the machlokas between the 2 of them. Demar savar yedios mechalkos. I know I'm chayv in a chatas, and I'm going to have to bring a chatas, and therefore I'm only chayav 1 animal. But if I find out after my yediyah that I violated a second, or maybe I'll have to bring 2. Umar savar, only the hafrasha. That would be Rav Yochanan. That would be Reish Lakish. Is that the case? And then Umar savar hafrasha. And what's the machlokes? Aval la'achar hafrasha modi le Reish Lakish the Rabbi Yochanan the Chayiv Shtayim. And maybe after the hafrasha, if you found out that you were chayiv to bring another korban, then maybe Reish Lakish, who says you're only chayiv to bring one korban, would agree to two, because his threshold is hafrasha. So once you're mafresh according to Reish Lakish, then you find out you did a second isser, then of course the hafrasha is done. That's the threshold. That now I have to bring a second korban because hafrasha was done already. That's one version. O Dilma, or perhaps the isyada leila achar hafrasha. Maybe no, not like the first version where we're talking about pre-separating the korban chatas, but you find out about your isurim after the hafrasha, and that's where there's pligi, where there's a machlokes. So v'ha pligi, here's how the shitas work out. Dimar savar hafrashos mechalkos, separating the animal as mechalik. Umar savar kaparos mechalkos, only after bringing the animal itself as a korban. Aval kodem hafrasha, but maybe had they found out about the isurim prior to the hafrasha, before you separated out the animal for achatas, modi le Rabbi Yochanan the Reish Lakish tenu chayv ala achas. Maybe because you found out of both things before the threshold hit. If you're saying that threshold is hafrasha, according to the more lenient of opinions, then yes, even Rabbi Yochanan, who normally would say two, but here it was all before the animal was separated. So of course you're going to have to bring two, even according to Rabbi Yochanan. O Dilma, perhaps a third possibility. Maybe the machlokes is under all circumstances. O Dilma, bein bizu uvein bizu machlokes. So this was the question that Ravina posed to Rav Ashi, a question of understand. The other way? Yeah, no, that's right. The question that Ravina posed to Rav Ashi, what is the nature of this machlokes? When does Rav Yochanan say you're chayiv to bring two korbanos? When does Reish Lakish say you're obligated to bring one korban? Big machlokes. Do we say it's prior to hafrasha or after hafrasha or under all circumstances? So Rav Ashi says back to him, Mistabra, the last of the short lines, Ayin Aleph Amud Beis, Mistabra, it seems pretty reasonable to me, Vein bezu uvein bezu machlokes. It seems to me that they're arguing never under all circumstances. Why? Here's the svara. If you want to say that the machlokes is even before the hafrasha, before you separated the animal for your chatas, and that's where they argue. However, afterwards, Reish Lakish would agree to Rabbi Yochanan that you're chayiv too. If that's the case, adamokim lekra leachar kapara lokme, adamokim lekra, the way that the pasuk is set up, leachar kapara lokme, then you would have to say that the pasuk is talking about after kapara. Leachar hafrasha. Lokme. But if you say it's la'achar hafrasha, if you say the machlokas was after the animal was separated for the korban, the achar hafrasha pligi, if that's what the machlokas is, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Let me just go back a line. Adamokim lekra la'achar kapara, if you were to say that the pasuk was talking about after kapara, lokme la'achar hafrasha, you should have said the pasuk was not about kapara, but the pasuk was about hafrasha. Meaning, if you want to say that the hafrasha was a threshold, then your pshat in the pasuk does not work. The achar hafrasha pligi, sorry about that. The achar hafrasha pligi, 3 lines into the widest lines. If you want to say that their machlokes is after the animal was separated for a korban, aval kodem hafrasha modele Rabbi Yochanan the Reish Lakish te'enu chayiv ala achas. But prior to hafrasha, then maybe Rabbi Yochanan would have agreed. Then there too, it's a problem. Adamoki lakrabe kezai sumechza. Rav Yochanan established that pasuk like an ukimta, a very unique case. The kezai sumechza, that weird case. No, look me kodem afrasha. So therefore, because of these two arguments, Rav Ashi responded to Ravina that it must be that there's a machlokas under all circumstances. And to summarize globally, what Rav Ashi is saying is that you have to say that way, that the machlokas is everywhere because of the psukim that they chose and how they chose to understand them. And therefore, the machlokas applies everywhere. Ravina says back to Rav Ashi, I don't know if that's right. The dilma sfuke mesafkale. Maybe really what's happening is that the way that they're talking to each other, Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish with their psukim, maybe they're talking about, they're just unsure. And even when they quote their psukim, it's in the model of the im tim tzalomar ka'amar. It's just, if X, then maybe Y, and if Y, then maybe X. I'm really unsure. And let's say how it would play out. Im tim salomar kodem afrasha pligi ba Rav Yochanan Heichi mukila lekrabek izaisu mechza. How could he have learned pshat in the pasuk that way? Vimtim salamar laachar afrasha pligi resh lakish heichi mukila lekrola belachar kapara. So the Gemara concludes here, seemingly unclear. Ravina wants to say that maybe the whole thing is a suffix. We really don't know. Here were the four options. The four options, really three options. Ravina presented three options. The machlokas is before the animal is separated, the machlokas is after the animal is separated, or the machlokas is both. And Rav Ashi answered with the third answer that the machlokas is both. And there Ravina comes back and is like, I'm just not sure. Like I could totally see their machlokas of before hafrasha, that the korban is obligated before hafrasha. I could see it both ways, before hafrasha or after. It's just unclear. And the Gemara ends here with a little bit of a suffix as to where the machlokas lies. So we're going to stop here for tonight, and we will pick up at Mirz Hashem tomorrow night with Daf Ayin Beis, and that is it. So we're last line of Ayin Aleph on the Beis, and we'll pick up here tomorrow night. Wishing you a beautiful week. Mirz Hashem Mashiach should come this week, and we'll be back together in the Beis Medrash, even with the wall open if necessary. That's totally fine. Have a beautiful week. Shavua Tov. Baruch Tiyeh.
Shavua Tov. Shavua.